By as well. Huge football Friday, a lot of NFL to dive into, including this. The Niners has their championship window officially closed, and is it time to deal Jimmy G? Plus this, in the second hour, the Houston Rockets have a new head coach. That is Stephen Silas. He'll join us to talk about the return of the NBA, all things Western Conference on December 22nd. And former Packers great Donald Driver will join us live to weigh in on that bad man. Plus, Devontae Adams, is he the best receiver in the league? Don't go anywhere. All right, you heard it. Brady Breeze in prime time. New Orleans taking the first one back in week one. An embarrassment of riches now, though. That was before Antonio Brown became a Buck. AB, talk to me.
I took a lot of time off of the game, to reevaluate myself, to look within, to get a better perspective of myself, working on myself within and without. And to be in this position, we followed the mission, and to get back on track, is what I'm here to do. I just feel like I'm a better person. I want to say I'm a different person, but I'm a better person. Learning a lot about myself, working on myself for a year and a half. So I think I'm a better person.
All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Stephen A., Max, Ryan Clark. Let's get it. Stephen A., I want to start with you. You heard him there, AB, saying he's a different person. He's worked on himself for a year and a half. Do you think all the pressure right now is on Brady and Brown?
Well, I think so. Not Brown per se. He's been out of the game for a little close to 2 years or what have you. And so we know how electrifying he can be when he's on his game. But he deserves a little bit time to get, things, get the wheels in motion and do what he has to do. I still think that he'll have a relatively decent game. I expect an instant impact. But he's not under the pressure. I would tell you that Brady and the Buccaneers are to some degree. Certainly you want to win your division. Certainly you don't want a situation where you lose 2 games to New Orleans this season. I'm looking at guys like Mike Evans too, though. I'm looking at Mike Evans having 1 reception for 2 yards in week 1. I'm looking at the chemistry between him and Tom Brady that obviously needed to develop and has developed as the season has progressed. You won't have O.J. Howard this time around because he's out for the season, but Gronk has been balling. He didn't do much in game 1. And so I'm thinking about Brady and Gronk. I'm thinking about Brady and Mike Evans. I'm thinking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones and what have you, and rushing for more than 85 or 86 yards collectively as a team. And I'm interested to see what that defense does against a Drew Brees that we weren't even sure was going to play this week, even though we all believe that he will. In the end, what it comes down to is that New Orleans is 1-0 against Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. Let's see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are able to do. Let's see how their offense is clicking against this New Orleans Saints defense now that you've got a few weeks under your belt and the chemistry seems to be there, and now that you've added Antonio Brown. I'll be interested in seeing what happens with that, because if nothing happens, I think that that's going to give us all cause to pause.
It would look on the surface like there's more pressure on Tom Brady. He has all these weapons. He has an elite defense, and he just got AB. But you know what I noticed about Brady and the Bucs? We're quick to make excuses for them. And they don't need excuses. They're really good. But they've had 2 losses. For week 1 to the Saints. Excuses, Brady just got there. And you can call them explanations if you want. That's fine. But he just got there. They got to get to know each other. There's no continuity like with Breeze. And neither team nor quarterback played particularly well. And then Brady lost in Chicago to Nick Foles. And it was because Foles made plays at the end of a game that Brady didn't make. And the next week he came out and much more focused, and they made good on what was happening. And, the week before there were no mental errors. And, you can see the trajectory of their season getting better and better. He gets cut a lot of slack in that way. And the Saints have been sort of flying under the radar. Let's not forget, before the preseason moves with Brady on the Bucs, and then Gronk followed him to the Bucs, and people are looking there, and then the season starts and the Packers catch fire and Seattle's on fire and Russell Wilson's an MVP candidate. Early on, the Saints were a really good Super Bowl pick. But they were without Michael Thomas. They were without Emmanuel Sanders, who was a really good move in the offseason to bring in that number 2 receiver that they've been lacking all these years. So Kamara's not just their second best receiver, like guy out of the backfield. And because of this, I think the kind of sense is that the Saints really maybe aren't in that uppermost echelon. But now he's got Thomas and Sanders back. Kamara's been balling. They traded for Quan Alexander, the linebacker, to shore up a defense, which in recent years has been good among the teams with dynamic offenses. Now there's a spotlight on the Saints because the Bucs caught fire. If the Bucs lose the game, AB just got there. Maybe Brady was forcing things to him, like the way when Devontae Adams got back, Rodgers was forcing a little bit. If the Saints lose, people look and say, oh, you beat the Bucs early in the season before they got going. But now that they're going, what's up? Same old New Orleans Saints look good in the preseason, and as things unfold, not quite good enough to get over the top, even though we're still in midseason. I actually think right now there's more pressure on Drew Brees and the Saints.
See, I don't think that. I don't think that Drew Brees has to feel that pressure. And also, when we speak about AB, like the one thing I know about him is he feels no pressure when it comes to football. That man lives, eats, and breathes success on the football field. It's just what he does. Like playing the wide receiver position for him, it just isn't hard. It's something that's extremely natural. And the people I've talked to from down there, they say he's looked phenomenal. Like obviously he's going to be extremely fresh, but he's a guy who stays in shape, a guy who works. And for all of those things that we could say about his off-field life or about some of the decisions he made, he kind of reminds me of Floyd Mayweather in the sense that when it came to his craft, it was always pure. When it came to his craft, he made sure he was ready to go. And because of that, I put it on Tom Brady. I do think this is on Tom Brady. I do think there's a ton of pressure on Tom Brady. For many of the reasons, Max, you always mention why this isn't necessarily the most impressive year from Tom Brady, because we basically said you put any quarterback in this position with those type of weapons, now you add AB, with that type of defense, that they would win games. But what is Tom Brady credited with amongst or above any other quarterback? Winning meaningful football games. We've never thought to ourselves, Tom Brady's the best we've ever seen. We never said that. We didn't talk about him like Aaron Rodgers. We didn't talk about him like Patrick Mahomes. But he became the GOAT because he won. He became the GOAT because when the lights were the brightest, he showed up. Well, this is the first game this season that the lights are truly that bright. This is the first game this season. You're coming off of barely beating the New York Giants. You're adding one of the best receivers of this era to our already loaded offense, and you have a defense that's balling, playing against a quarterback we don't expect much from. Playing against a quarterback we know can't push the ball down the field. I think we've come to grips with who Drew Brees is. But whether you're on the side of Tom Brady not falling off the cliff or into the valley or into the ravine, or I guess a shallow pool, it would be for you right now.
He's climbing up. It's a ravine. It's a ravine. But he's climbing up, as it turns out. I didn't know. I saw a ravine. I didn't know which direction. Yeah.
I thought it was a baby pool, like Ryan said.
Hold
a little baby pool you put in the backyard.
I thought I made it clear that we would no longer entertain cliffs or ravine on this show.
Well, they're entertaining.
I thought we made that clear. We don't want to hear Max's uttering those words out of his mouth again. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, either way, whatever side you're on that, this is a game that tells you, right? He comes in, he loses to the New Orleans Saints earlier. Many of the thoughts were, at least my thoughts were, they wouldn't beat the Saints early and they wouldn't be better than the Saints early, but they would progress and be the better team headed into the playoffs. Well, this is the time to show us. And so to me, if Tom Brady doesn't show up, if Tom Brady doesn't make the clutch plays, if this team doesn't win, all of that goes back to Tom Brady. I think we'll hear it in his voice post-game. I think we'll hear it throughout the week. He understands that he needs to win this game and play well.
Well, let me say this about Drew Brees. The man is completing 73% of his passes. He's only got 13 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, though. But I will tell you this. I'm not ready to sit up there and say, even though I agree with you, Ryan, about the pressure being on Tom Brady, particularly when he has everything to do with the fact that Antonio Brown is on the squad, because just months ago, Bruce Arians said he wasn't good for this locker room. So why did he change his mind? There's only one reason. He changed his mind because Tom Brady changed his mind. That's what changed Bruce Arians' mind, that is. That's the bottom line. And so now that we know that, we understand that the pressure's on Tom Brady because of that. But what I would disagree with you about, or at least I believe the jury is still out about, Ryan, is that in terms of Drew Brees' inability to move the ball down the field or what have you, he's had a few games without Michael Thomas, his primary number one weapon.
Thank you.
And I think
this is
that
what I'm saying.
As long as now, if this was happening to their offense with Michael Thomas on the field, then I'm all for it. But Michael Thomas has not been there.
See,
and that's why I would say, let's wait and see that.
So here's the thing.
Ryan, Stephen A. just saved his argument and your argument. See, what happens with the Saints is they fly under the radar and will point to 13 TDs, only 13 TDs. Not only Michael Thomas, but Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is a very good number 2 receiver. And when they acquired him, we all thought, hey, that's been the missing piece, really. There hasn't been a bona fide number 2. There is now. He hasn't had either. So, yeah, he's got 13 touchdowns and 3 losses right now. But the fact of the matter is he's not given credit enough for the fact that he hasn't had his team. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen if Tom Brady loses with Antonio Brown. Don't let Tom Brady try to force the ball to AB and they have a turnover, right? He throws an interception because he's trying to get AB in the groove because the excuses are loaded. Believe me, everyone's got their excuses loaded. If the Bucs lose the game, AB just got there. You got to give him time. All this stuff. Drew Brees isn't working with excuses.
No, listen, I agree with that. I'm not saying that Drew Brees can't move the football. Drew Brees has a mastery of this offense like I've never seen. The way he goes through progressions, if you watch his strike, is teach tape. But he also goes through those progressions extremely fast because he's not looking down the field. And if you watch Michael Thomas, I mean, really watch him, he's not a down-the-field receiver. I'm not saying he's a possession guy, but he's a crosser type guy. He's a quick slant type guy. He's a body catch type guy.